Welcome, friend. This is I Need Thee Every Hour, a podcast dedicated to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. You are listening to your ministering sister, Casey Mills. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I have a lot of thoughts about something that happened last night. I'm in a very sensitive, I guess is a decent word to use, sensitive position. There's things that happen in my family and in my home that trigger things and might make me feel, more upset than I probably should be. And thank heaven my husband will be able to calm me down at times. Sometimes I don't want him to, and it makes me mad that he tries to, but bless his heart. I think he knows that's what he needs to do, and he can recognize that I'm getting too upset about something. So my kids are on summer break right now from school, and I've got, for those that don't know, we have a blended family. My oldest is my only son from my previous marriage. He's now 16. I have 4 daughters that are 14, 13, 12, and 10. My husband has a daughter from his previous marriage. She is 11. And then we have 3 boys between us. They are 6, 5, and 4. So there's a bit of a separation between the older kids and the younger ones. The older kids are teenagers and preteens, so they're very much in that phase of life. For better or for worse, there's a lot of great things that come from it. There's a lot of frustrating things that come from it. And then we have our little boys that are still very much in little kid mode, but they're no longer toddlers, so they're in a transition phase. So it's been nice. We're done with diapers. Hallelujah. But they're still young, and they still have the whole wanting to get up at the crack of dawn, no matter what time they've gone to bed the night before. So if you don't have to deal with that, or you've never had to deal with that, you should thank the Lord every waking day of your life, every moment of every day. But my boys do not sleep in. They don't know the meaning of the words. And if one of them happens to, well, most assuredly, one of the other ones or the other 2 will still be up at dawn. So they may take turns somewhat, but then who is always up then when they are up? Well, it's me and their dad, and yeah. I'm not gonna lie. There's times when I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put on a show and I just want to go lay back down. Maybe I go back to sleep for another hour or so. They're starting to get where they can, get snacks for themselves and junk. Like I'm very much on summertime mode right now, and yeah. Anyway, I don't judge other people, right? And definitely don't judge me. I'm doing my very best. And we have a pretty strict schedule when the kids are in school, and excuse me. And that takes quite a lot out of me during the school year. But summertime, it's kind of nice to not be having to be. I call it being a drill sergeant. I'm a drill sergeant most every day, and it gets exhausting. And especially when you have this many kids that I'm fighting. Last school year, my stepdaughter was not in our home. Her mother was taking care of the school issue with her solely, and that was a huge relief last school year to not have to have the issues between my stepdaughter and myself in the mix. So thank heaven her mother was in a position to take that over and handle the daily school stuff, because not that my stepdaughter is not capable, and not that she doesn't enjoy school sometimes, of course, and she gets super bored when she is stuck at home. And so really truly going to school every day has been a great thing for her, but there's definitely pluses and minuses to it for her. And I think just because of who I am and what I represented in her life, I think she just was going to fight me on anything. Except if I'm offering something that is covered in some sugary substance, then magically I'm a good cook, and magically I'm the best person in the world. But aside from that, I think I am the devil. But anyway, there are times when she feels loving feelings toward me. I know that. But anyway, so I this is somewhat tongue in cheek, but there is truth to all sarcasm, of course, as we know. So anyway, just getting that out. So part of the issue then with summertime is, I got kids wanting to stay up all night, and then they want to sleep all day, and that creates a really tough dynamic then for myself, my husband, our little boys. We somewhat it ends up being okay for them to sleep in, for my older kids to sleep in, and the little boys to be up early, and they can kind of get their turn on the Xbox and stuff like that, right? Because of course inevitably everybody wants to play on it, and especially all summer long. And anyway, but I do kind of worry about, okay, so teenagers need more sleep, but are they getting more sleep? Are they getting still worthwhile sleep if they're partying till 3 a.m. And then sleeping in until 3 or whatever? I mean, it's just, I know it's not good. And this is me kind of burying myself here a little bit, saying that I have allowed this to happen. I've allowed it to continue more days than I would like. I'm kind of not saying much. I suppose I'm kind of being a little passive aggressive with my kids. I'm trying to help them to make wise decisions on their own. I'm trying to raise adults. And so, in that you end up allowing things that you maybe don't want to, but because you're hoping that they will learn their lesson a little bit, that they will make the right choice and not just do something begrudgingly just because you told them to. Anyway, it's a tough thing, and I don't have all the answers, and I have my resources that I turn to teach me how to be a good parent. And I not only have the issue of boys and girls and teenagers, preteens, and young kids. I have the step dynamic, the half sibling dynamic. Each one of my kids has a very different and very strong personality. I'm trying to manage a household. I'm trying to manage my own feelings. I'm not perfect. I got my own issues that I'm dealing with, so I gotta do my best. I have a very real appreciation for my parents, especially my mother. Raising 6 kids was not an easy task for her. She grew up in a household with just an older brother and herself. That's a totally different world. He was 4 years older than her, and so she didn't grow up with sisters. She didn't even grow up with more than one brother. And, obviously anyway, it's so hard, right? Like, even with me growing up in a big family, and I loved it. And I love having a big family. I love that my siblings have built-in friends and that they have the dynamic of brothers and sisters and, everything that goes along with it, which is just so wonderful. And I'm just telling myself these kids are going to be great spouses one day and great parents one day, because they're learning this hard stuff now, and I'm trying to help them get through this tough stuff now. So last night, so I got to preface a little bit. My stepdaughter is here with us during the week because, of course, her mother works and my husband works from home. And so I think it kind of lends itself. And obviously she, can't be home alone. I think her mother can work from home a little bit, but not much because of the nature of what she does. She has to go into a workplace. And so obviously we wouldn't want our 11-year-old daughter, my stepdaughter, to be home alone all day. And, Anyway, and so it just kind of lends itself that she would need to be here in our home. Our kids are home from school too, and I'm here, and essentially my husband is here. He's working in his office. He has a private office, so he can shut himself off, as much as he needs to. But as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we have issues. There's issues that have come up, and me, I can tell that I feel a bit of stress and anxiety when I know she's going to be here, especially if I know that I'm the adult that's handling things. I've had major struggles with this in the past, with dealing with the dynamic with her when her dad's not around, and with her with my kids if they're not getting along for whatever reason. Anyway, so I was stressing out about upcoming summer break, and I was stressing out about then once I found out that I was trying to talk to my husband about having her, either just come here and just be here during the day and at least spend nights at her mother's home. I thought that would maybe help things a bit, because I do feel like we've established now that her mother's home is her home base. I think that is important. I've mentioned this before, that I think kids in a divorce situation, they love both their parents. They want to be with both their parents. Maybe both their parents are wonderful and work together well. The kid still needs a home base. That has created so many issues to have kids being in a situation, my kids, I'm saying, being in a situation where they don't have a home base. The kids that I know that have been in a divorce situation where especially for girls, and especially when it's mom's house that's home base, I do think they do the very best. Not to say that it's not without its problems. I'm not saying this is a cure-all, all right? Just saying that this is my experience. This is what I feel. And if you, pray about it, I'm sure the Lord will tell you what you need to know about the subject. But I just feel like that's where I've come to about things. My kids do better having my home as their home base. That's been the case for my kids, and now I can see, after it's been a year now that we've done this, where my stepdaughter's mother's home is her home base. It's been much better. So needless to say, I was very concerned that come summer break, she'd be spending a lot more time here, and we'd fall into some of the same pitfalls that we've experienced in the past. And I've been prayerful, and I've tried to. This is kind of one of those things. It's really tough, because my husband and we get along fabulously, and we agree about most everything, and we really just don't fight about stuff. We don't argue about stuff. But this is one thing that has become a source of contention between us, is just not agreeing on how to handle things. And it's not just about his daughter, it's my older children as well. He feels helpless with my older children, and I feel helpless with his older child. And I feel a lot of times that I don't get to have a say in anything that affects me, that affects my kids. And I would be willing to bet money that he feels the exact same way. When it comes to our home with my children, I know he can often feel like he's a prisoner in his own home, and I know I have felt that way too. And it's a really tough dynamic. This is something that I have been praying about, and I still don't have all the answers. But I just keep coming back to this idea of, well, I will get to that. I'm kind of greasing the skids here a bit, okay? So my stepdaughter is here. She obviously was here overnight last night, and she and the daughter of mine that is next oldest from her have kind of a love-hate relationship, and it's been the most stressful. And I think anytime that the two of them are actually getting along, and heaven help us, they're actually having fun, I think both my husband and myself feel like, well, maybe we ought to let that play out. Last night they were playing a game on the Xbox when I went to bed. Now my daughter, the one that I was just referring to, she She has a natural volume that runs in my family. I was born with it. My understanding is that my granny, who was my dad's grandma, she was born with it. It's not Maybelline. Anywho, we have had an ongoing issue with my daughter being very noisy. Bless her heart, she has a laugh like mine, and she will sound like she's screaming. And I swear people can hear her like a block away because she is so loud. And she doesn't seem to realize how loud she is. And ironically, she will complain about other people being too loud. But magically, the noise from her seems to begin after my boys are in bed, and I have to frequently remind her to be quiet and not be screaming because it sounds like she is screaming, but I know she's just laughing. Anyway, last night we did remind her before going to bed. She seemed to quiet down. It never really seems to last. So I think because, well, we use a noisemaker in with my boys, and my husband and I benefit from the noisemaker as well. And some nights I think I'm just so flippin' tired that I can sleep through anything. But last night I got woken up at 3 a.m., no joke, to her screaming, laughing. And when I came out, I found her and my stepdaughter on the couch still playing their Xbox game. And yeah, like you would have guessed, it was 3 p.m. To say that I was pissed is an understatement. I kicked them off. I said, I'm like, seriously? And I kicked them off, and they immediately ran into their room. And I was about to start one of my tirades where I'm running around the house, just kind of yelling and lecturing and just letting them have it. And luckily I guess I shouldn't say luckily. Unfortunately, my husband got woken up too and came and got me to just go back to bed. But I was just feeling all these reminders again about feeling, it just spiraled into my kids don't respect me and they don't obey me, I feel like it's worse when my daughter's around my stepdaughter. I feel like my stepdaughter is trying to get my kids to disrespect me and disobey me. And, like not like all the time, but, quite a bit, right? And, and I'm just thinking of all these things, right? All the past comes up. And then I'm thinking, I don't feel like my boys respect me or obey me like they should. So maybe they're getting that from their older siblings, or teaching that to them. And then I'm thinking, are they getting this from, who are they learning this from? And why are they being influenced in this way? And, and I'm thinking about all this stuff from the past, and I'm thinking about how I feel disrespected and disliked by people that should be family. I'm talking about my husband's family, and I feel very very discounted, very disrespected. It's funny because there's something I've learned about, that for men it's respect, and for women it's love. And I think that there is a part of me, it must be the part of me that's not as feminine, that is, ends up being more masculine at times, that really just, I want respect, and I don't feel like I get respect. Not enough, anyway. I'm not that extreme. I'm not saying it never happens. But when it does happen, it really throws me for a loop. And it's so, well, it's almost humorous that when these things happen, I bet you can't guess what the Lord points out to me. The Lord likes to point out to me how I maybe don't respect or trust or obey Him. And even not just me, but all of his children. He has to deal with all of us doing that to him. He tells us one thing and we second guess it. He says, trust me, and we don't. He says, obey me, and we don't. And yet he continues to love us anyway. He continues to teach us anyway. He continues to show up for us anyway. And of course, I'm going to keep doing that for my kids, right? I mean, I yelled at them. They're probably pissed at me. But I have to kind of say I don't care, because that was super disrespectful to be not even giving a single thought about the volume when you are right outside my bedroom door. It's just the audacity of it just astounds me. But yet I'm thinking, do I not do this exact same thing? I know what's extra frustrating for me is because I don't feel like I did that to my own mother. And maybe I'll have to clarify with her. Mama, if you're listening, maybe you can tell me if you felt that way from me. But I didn't feel like I felt like I respected her and wanted to show respect to her. I'm not saying I never did anything wrong or didn't break rules and junk, but I just, to me, it's like the thought of waking my mom up in the middle of the night from a dead sleep is just like, I just can't even imagine having done that to my mom. And so this idea of my own kids doing that to me and thinking that's okay, or maybe even being mad at me because I then kicked them off the Xbox, it's just like, ooh, it's so infuriating to me. How do I get this through to them? This is not life. This is not how you go through life. If you think you're going to be able to get away with doing this kind of stuff to anyone other than your mother, and yet I feel like I should be the last person that gets treated this way, but it's so frustrating. And then it starts making me think of the stuff that their dad was teaching them. He was teaching them that I was a liar. He was teaching them that I wasn't around. He was literally rewriting memories for them, telling them about things that had happened in the past and changing details, and also telling them that I wasn't there for it. So then when the kids are telling me, they're like, oh, Mom, remember this and remember that? And I'm like, yeah, I was there. I'm the one who did X, Y, or Z. And they're looking at me blankly. And I'm like, this a-hole is rewriting my kid's memory and erasing me from their memory. And he's literally teaching them that I'm a liar. He's telling them, oh, I know your mom told you that, but she's a liar. She lies a lot. Like, he literally told my kids that. And so then they're having to come to me and find out, try and get the truth from me, or at least, whatever sounds like maybe my truth to them, right? They're hearing their dad's truth, and then there's my truth. I'm so sick of hearing that in today's world. Oh, this is my truth. And it's like, no. Your experience is your experience. My experience is my experience. But then there's the truth. There is only the truth, okay? Anyway, I feel like I'm fighting this battle constantly to get my kids to trust me, to obey me, to know that I am looking out for their best interest. They were being raised by someone who was not looking out for their best interest. He was only looking out for his own interest. And I know that he has mental illness, and I know that he's somehow been stunted. And so he I don't even think it's possible for him to look past that. Past himself in a lot of ways. But here I am, I'm trying to remedy these things with my children. And yet me flipping out and losing my cool, right? That doesn't help. That's a breach of trust in and of itself when you lose it, basically lose control and explode a bit. And I wasn't awake enough to explode, but I certainly have exploded before. But anyway, it just got me thinking again, like I said, about this idea of trusting the Lord. And I thought of these, scriptures, one in the Bible, which is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5-6, that says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And then there's also a scripture in the Book of Mormon, which is it found in 2 Nephi chapter 4, verse 34. It says, O Lord, I have trusted in thee, and I will trust in thee forever. I will not put my trust in the arm of flesh, for I know that cursed is he that putteth his trust in the arm of flesh. Yea, cursed is he that putteth his trust in man, or maketh flesh his arm. I know that the Lord put me and my husband and my kids in this situation. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. He didn't put us in this situation. He guided us to come together as a family to repair things based on human error and sin. And, I made an error in my previous marriage. I am trying to remedy that every day. I'm trying to make amends with my children every day. And I know that it affects them in ways I'm not even aware of yet. And even my little boys I know are being affected by all of it in ways that I'm sure I'm not even aware of. But I have such a strong testimony that the Lord does not make mistakes, and that he knows us all intimately, and that he loves us all. As my mom said to me yesterday, God is love. He is the absolute embodiment of love. That's all that he is. That's all that he exudes. That's all that he is in our lives. And when we trust in him, it will lead to love. We will feel love, and we will be able to show love, and we will know love. And I am trying so hard, and it's not easy. I struggle every day. I'm trying to learn what he wants me to learn. I am trying to refer to the scriptures to help me. Obviously, this helps me every day and all the time. And I want answers. I want to know why everything has to be the way it has to be. I want to know what's going to be around the corner. I want to know why did we have to deal with this or that? Why wasn't I saved from this or that? Why couldn't my kids be saved from this or that? Whatever the case may be, right? But because we know that he is perfect and his ways are perfect and his timing is perfect, and we know that we're here to grow together, and because we want to be like him, we want to live with him and be like him. I want to live with him and be like him. I want to be able to go one day to him and say, I did everything that you asked of me, and I did my best. And I want him to say to me, come into my rest, thou good and faithful servant. I want him to say that to me. So even though I have to sometimes apologize to my kids, sometimes I have to deal with sleepless nights, sometimes I have to swallow my pride, the Lord is humbling me. He humbles me every day. And because I'm turning to him, he's showing me what I need to see. And that if I want my kids to trust in the Lord and follow the Lord and be good disciples for Christ, I have to do it myself first. I have to show that to them first. I have to be that example first and foremost. Even if it takes them as long as it's taken me to figure things out. If they can refer to that example and say, well, my mom wasn't perfect, but she did her best. And I knew that she loved the Lord and tried her best to follow the Lord and tried her best to teach us also to do the same. That's about as much as I can hope for. I was reminded the other day of an important truth that the Lord shared with me when I wanted to be mad at my parents and I wanted to be critical of them and feel sorry for myself in whatever ways, right? And the Lord majorly chastised me and told me basically that my parents made the choice to accept the gospel of Jesus Christ when it was presented to them, and they made the decision to teach it to their children. They may not have always done it perfectly. They may have had their own struggles and things they had to work through, but they loved the Lord. They loved the gospel. They still do. And I know that. I've always known that from them. And that was what taught me. And the impression that I got from the Lord was that that was what he expected of them. That was what he expected them to do as parents to me and my siblings as their children, and they did that. And anything else can be made right. Anything else that happened, the Lord is able to remedy, fix, heal, whatever the case may be. Nothing else matters except the gospel. And I felt immediate love and reverence and appreciation from my parents for doing that, because that has saved me in so many ways. I'm so grateful. And I hope one day my kids will be grateful to me, even if it takes decades. I hope that they will be grateful one day for that and be able to acknowledge that I did my best, but I taught them the gospel. I facilitated them learning the gospel, and I taught them as best I could. With that, I will end today's episode. Thank you for listening as always, and please join me again next time.